Welcome to Faye Talks Wood Podcast. I'm Will from Flat Woodworks.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
And we're a podcast that talks about everything from Jesus to joinery. And as you guys can probably hear my voice a little bit, I've got allergies like crazy. And you know what's funny, Tom, is that I never had allergies. Never. And then we moved to Tennessee in 2017. And I started getting allergies. The ragweed down south, man, just tore me up. And ever since then, now we're back in Pennsylvania for the last 2 years, and I've been getting allergies now. And I think age has a part to do in it. I think that does happen. You know, your body changes and stuff. But yeah, I'm on, been taking Zyrtec, and I just don't feel like it's doing much for me. I mean, it helps, but everybody keeps telling me Claritin. You gotta use Claritin. So I don't know. I may give that a try. Something. I wake up in the morning, my eyes are poofy and watery, and my throat's all dry from, can't breathe through my nose. My, snoring on. It's fun.
Well, I'm going to tell you, back in North Carolina, I had allergies, and I have them here too. But years ago, I started eating a spoonful of local honey a day.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I'm going to tell you that I don't ever use Zyrtec. I used to use Zyrtec, but I don't use it anymore. And I still get a little effects, but not like I used to. It really makes a
problem
difference.
is I don't like honey. I mean, I don't mind honey, but like I just...
Well, it's kind of like this, You remember when we were kids? Well, you don't because you weren't born then. There used to be a cartoon called Popeye, and he ate spinach.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't like spinach or asparagus or Brussels sprouts when I was a kid, but they were good for me. Sometimes we have to do things that are good for us that we don't like. And would it be worth eating a spoonful of honey if you didn't have allergies and didn't have to take Zyrtec or Claritin?
Right. No, I'm with you there. I agree. All
right. I'm done preaching.
No, you're good. So kind of excited. So today is Tuesday. Usually we record on Mondays. I wasn't feeling well last night. I went to bed, man. I was in bed by like 9:00. It was fantastic. And I was up early too. And it's funny how that works. So Thursday, we're leaving Thursday morning for Washington, D.C. We're going to go down and spend a long weekend down there, go to the museums, natural history, air and space, the Museum of the Bible, which I'm really excited about. And then we're going to go to the DC Zoo Saturday, which is free to get into as well. It's a public zoo. And so we're excited. I think they have giant pandas at that zoo, which are pretty rare. And so looking forward to that. But so funny. It had this. So as everybody knows, my wife is a stained glass artist, and there are not many stained glass stores around the country. I mean, there's like not every big city even has one. There's sparse. It's less than like a Woodcraft or a Rockler. I mean, there's just not many around. So I had booked the hotel for where we're going to stay at in DC, and it's actually outside DC in Fredericks, just far enough away that the prices come down enough that it's affordable. And so my wife's looking at the where we're going and stuff, and it was like 11:00 at night last week, laying in bed, I'm reading my Bible, and she gets so excited and rolls over, and she's like, babe, look. And she holds her phone up to me, and I'm like, what am I looking at here? She's like, that's our hotel. Yep, that's the one we're going to. Across the street from our hotel is one of the biggest stained glass stores in the country. I'm talking, this place is like, think of like a, like a Dollar General, which is they're not small stores anymore, but nothing but stained glass. Just rows and rows and rows of nothing but panels of stained glass. And so she's all excited, and she's like, so can we leave a little bit earlier Thursday? Because they close at 5 on Thursdays. Like, sure, that's fine. I don't care. And so we were talking about it, and this Sunday is Mother's Day. and we'll be just coming back, and a lot going on. And I says, well, why don't you spend some money there? Think of it as a Mother's Day, just go enjoy perusing the stained glass store. And so she's really excited. And I was looking at pictures online. I was like, goodness gracious. Like, if you let a bull off in that, like a bull in a china shop, it would be destructive. And so we're going to go down, and I'll probably go to the hotel with the kids, and she's going to go across the street to the glass store. And yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So
that's awesome. That'd be like you and I getting a hotel right next to Rockler or Woodcraft, and so that's cool, man. Very cool.
Well, I tell you that
I've got to send you a picture. So today I was in an art gallery, and it was a mixed art. Some of it paintings, some of it wood, some of it stained glass. But there was a pretty cool piece in there. I took a picture of it to send to your wife. So I'm gonna shoot it over to you so you can say it. A guy or gal, whoever the artist was, made a stained glass guitar. It was really, really cool. And it was hanging right in the window of the gallery, so the sun shining through it. I was just like, yeah. So I'll shoot you a picture of that and you share with her.
That's pretty cool. There's one like 45 minutes from where we're staying. There's a leather place called Tandy Leather. It'd be like the Rockler or the Woodcraft of leather places. And there's one in Pittsburgh, which is just an hour and a half from us. And there's one in Baltimore, which I didn't realize Baltimore and DC were so close.
Oh yeah.
Like they're like right next to each other, like twin cities almost.
Yep. Right over the border. And the traffic to get from one to the other is a nightmare. My niece, the last time I was in the DC area, my niece is in the Army, and she was stationed in Maryland, like literally right over the border. And we went up there so we could see her play hockey. She's a phenomenal hockey player. And, oh my God, the traffic, dude, like, there is no amount of money in the world that can make me live in that area. The traffic would just literally drive me bonkers. It's insane, man.
We're not looking forward to it. We're going to take there's a, like a tram railway that goes into DC. And so there's one right by the hotel, like a stop. And we looked at taking that, but to take that, now mind you, we have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. It would be a 2-hour tram because all the stops you have to make. Or we could drive it, even though it should be a 40-minute drive. It'll probably be an hour and a half, but we at least have our vehicle with, they got the DVD player in there and stuff, and snacks and whatnot. And so we're gonna drive and park and pay for astronomical amount to park, but we're looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be cool to see the kids' face on the museums. I intentionally got Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, the movie, so we can watch it on the way down there and put it on there. So they're like, we just saw that in the movie. So, that'll be pretty cool. But like the Washington Monument, it's huge. You walk up to it and it's like, and then the Lincoln Memorial and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff with the kids, to see them and like, wow, look how big this is and stuff. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be tiring, and the weather's supposed to be absolutely perfect, like mid 70s, just sunny. It's gonna be a good time. Looking forward to getting away, and this will be our vacation. We're trying to stay within budget, just kind of do something a little cheaper, and not do anything crazy. Next year we might do Disney, as I'll be going to a work conference that we stay at Disney. I'm actually going to one in two weeks. I'll be in Disney, so that'll be fun.
Disney's cool for the kids, not for me. But
no,
I would love. The last time I was to DC, they did not have the Bible Museum, and I would love to go to that. But and the same guy that owns Hobby Lobby is the one that was a big financial backer of that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also of the Ark Museum, which
Right.
is absolutely phenomenal. One of the
Oh, I've
best
been to the
things.
Ark, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
amazing. But
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Yeah, the Museum of the Bible, I was looking at the exhibits and stuff, and a after I looked at it, I was like, "I don't know if I wanna go with the kids." This is one of those things, like, I wanna go there and read and stuff. But then I started looking at it, and they have a whole like a kids section in there.
oh,
Like,
cool. Yeah.
they know that, the kids are gonna get bored, so there's, like, a whole kids section, so I'll let you know how it is. I'm excited being a Bible nerd, being somebody who, appreciates the original languages and understands the stuff about manuscripts and whatnot. I'm really excited to go see some of that stuff, so it'll be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I know they have, I think they have the dead. No, that's right.
Yeah, they do.
The Dead Sea Scrolls the actual ones are gonna be there on the exhibit in October or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So they have, like, they goes to different museums or whatnot. I still told myself, that'd be awesome to go down there for that." But, they do have some, really old stuff and whatnot. I'm looking forward to it, but anywho, before we get going into the rest of the podcast, I wanna say thank you to the patron supporters. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate your support. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Faith Talks Wood. Also, we have a retreat coming up this October. If you are interested in coming and hanging out with Tom and I, go to faithtalkswood.com/retreat. All the information is there. You can fill out a pre-registration form, get over there, fill it out. That is going to be the registration is going to be shut down end of May. 2025. We got to get stuff. We got get stuff ordered and get stuff figured out, and so that's gonna be our deadline. So get in, get registered right away. So and then also, if you're looking for some sanding equipment, go to surfprepsanding.com. Use code FAITH, get 10% off. And actually, a listener had reached out to me. They just bought a Surf Prep sander and used our code. So
Very
thank
cool.
you. Yeah, but anywho, Brother Tom, what do you got on your heart this evening?
Yeah, but before I hop into the Bible study tonight, a couple more announcements. So AWFS is coming up July 22nd through the 25th, and it's one of the largest woodworking shows in the world. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm going and would love to hang out with anybody that is going. If you want a free entry, go to Surf Prep's website, and they've got a code you can use to get a free ticket into AWFS. And ironically, just got because I've already registered for the show, I got the little magazine in the mail, and right on the front was the Surf Prep crew. And then also Makers for St. Jude started yesterday, runs through July 4th. And I'm going to be making something and donating. And so if you've ever experienced a family member or friend that went through cancer, for me, it's only been, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, adults in my life. But St. Jude's provides free health care, lodging, everything when a child gets cancer. And I praise God that I've not had to go through this, but I can't imagine what it would be like to experience your child having cancer. And so they provide care, they provide lodging, and when a parent has to go through their child having cancer, it's more than just the disease. It's them having to leave where they live, most of the time having to take time away from work so that they can go and be with their child at St. Jude. So they're losing their income, everything, their whole life is turned upside down. And so to be able to provide finances so that that's one less thing they have to worry about while they're going through this treatment is something we can do. So I just want to encourage each of you to go to Makers for St. Jude website, sign up and make something. It doesn't matter if you make a cutting board and the way it all works, you make something and you're selling off raffle tickets for it. So you might make a cutting board that sells for $200, but it might raise $600 or $800. And the goal is for everybody accumulated together to raise $50,000 this year to help those that have to go through that horrible thing at St. Jude. So go over there, get signed up, and then send us photos of what you're making. Love to support you. So let's hop into the Bible study. So the word blessed has really been on my mind and my heart. And so often when you hear Christians mention the word blessed, it always seems to be associated with money. They're like, got a pay raise at work. Oh, we're really blessed. Got a new home. Really blessed. It just always seems to be associated with money or material possessions. But when we're reading Scripture, it's not. And so if I'd like to read a passage, and this passage is where Jesus was at the Sermon on the Mount and is preaching, and this section is called the Beatitudes. And if you look at the definition of beatitude, it is supreme blessedness. So just think about that. Let that soak in for a second. What would it mean to you to be supremely blessed? And so I want to read here in Matthew in chapter 5, verses 3 through 12. And this is what we call the Beatitudes. God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. So we just heard Jesus, talk about multiple ways that we are blessed, and not one of them has anything to do with our bank account, how big the house we live in is, what kind of car we drive, what kind of clothes we wear, where our kids go to school, no status symbol. If we read in it, everything's just the opposite. Blessed are the poor. And I'm going to tell you one thing. In the military, I've had the pleasure of being able to go to some third world countries and actually been able to go to church in a hut. And when I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, a lot of the people from the Caribbean come there to work, and they live in very medial conditions, nothing fancy, little shacks, and they had a church there that was just in a hut. And so here are people that come off and over there to work because they can make more money there than they can back in their homeland. And it wouldn't even be equated to what minimum wage is in America. But, buddy, I'm going to tell you, that's one of the most powerful church services I've ever been to. Was on a dirt floor in a hut with people that literally, and how I got invited to that is every day I would go to the swimming pool and I'd swim laps. Well, the lifeguard there was a Jamaican guy, Every day he'd be like, "Hey man, how you do today?" And just the greatest attitude in life. And we got talking about Jesus. He said, "You come to church with me, man." And that's how I got to go to a church like that. And it's so amazing. Like when you look at America and all the wealth that we have here, but yet the gospel is growing in other parts of the world at a much greater rate than what it is in America, where we are prospering financially much better. It's growing over in poor countries where you would think that people are living in these conditions would the way we're raised here in America wouldn't have anything to be joyful about. People here in America would be crying like little crybabies if they had to live in those conditions, and yet these people are just so thankful to know the Lord and then spreading the Lord. And so there go, blessed are the poor. God blesses those who mourn. Like when we mourn, you think about the things we mourn for usually, we just talked about a child with cancer in St. Jude, or maybe it's losing a loved one or somebody going through an illness. But God blesses those who are in pain, who are mourning, those who are humble. In America, we look at movie stars and rock stars and politicians and doctors and lawyers, and everybody else is just peons. A guy that hangs signs for a living is nobody. We elevate all of these rich people. But man, God says those who are humble are the ones that will be blessed. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice. He blesses those who are merciful. So when we give mercy, just like God has given it to us, we are blessed. Has nothing to do with money or possessions. God blesses those whose hearts are pure. We're the ones that are going to get to see God. Now that, when I sit here and read all these blessings, that one just really pops. If I could only choose one blessing to be able to see God, to have a pure heart, that's the blessing I want. God blesses those who work for peace. God blesses those who are persecuted for his name's sake. Like, this is all totally opposite of what we consider being blessed here in America with the American dream. And so if you go and look up the word blessed throughout the Bible, it is never associated money. In Malachi, I'm going to read one little section also over in Malachi, would be kind of the closest that it would come, but it still is not associated with money or material possessions. But in Malachi chapter 3, start there in verse 10, it says, talks about tithing. And before this, he had told the people they had been cheating, but he says, bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so there will be enough food in my temple. Now, remember, back in that day, he's sitting at, people are given the first 10% of their crops, of their livestock, and that sort of thing. So it's not the American dollar bill, but it says, bring it so there'll be food in my temple. If you do, says the Lord of heaven's army, I will open the windows of heaven for you, and I will pour out a blessing so great you won't have enough room to take it all in. And a lot of times we associate that if we give our monetary tithe, that then our bank accounts are going to increase, that our God's going to give us a pay raise. And I'm not saying that can't be the way God blesses us. He certainly gives people promotions, gives people pay raises, and that. But if you go on and continue reading there, he says, try it. Put me to the test. Your crops will be abundant. So what does that mean? So you're going to get a higher yield on your work, on the things that you're doing are going to be more productive. For I will guard them from insects and disease. So protection over our health, protection over, in this case, he's talking about crops and stuff. So the blessing isn't necessarily an increase in pay, but a protection over what he's given you. Guard them from insects and disease. Your grapes will not fall from the vine before they are ripe, says the Lord of heaven army. Then all the nations will call you blessed, for your land will be such a delight, says the Lord of heaven's army. I would love to go back to America when it was first started, where it was founded on our faith. And granted, there's things in our history that, like slavery, that our nation is not proud of, and that we could go back and change. But compared to today, where the things that you see going on in society, the purity of what our nation used to be. And I think that's why our nation was blessed. And if you still look at our nation, there's never anybody other than Rosie O'Donnell and a few of the people in Hollywood that say they want to leave. But who wants to come here? This land has stood up. We have been based on a Christian nation since its founding, and people still, regardless of what the media says, nobody's trying to break into Mexico or Argentina or Canada or any other country. They're all trying to flock here. And it's because this nation in the past, I believe, has been blessed by God because of how it was founded. Now, if you go in, I've been reading in Chronicles right now, my personal reading, and when you read through Chronicles, it's king after king after king, and same thing in the book Kings. And one of them abandons what we were supposed to be doing and goes and worship Baals and builds statues. And then the next one goes back to worship God, tears it all down. It's just a constant flip-flop. But when you go and look at it, when they're seeking the Lord, when the king is seeking the Lord, he tears down all the idols and gets the country back to worshiping God. What happens? God's blessing comes in. And the nation, one particular thing that stood out to me is that they had peace all around them. There was no wars because they had come back to serving the Lord and received his blessing. And I tell you what, how nice is a blessing of peace and protection all around you. So just want to give you a different perspective and get you to think on what the word blessing is and what it means in your life. And really try to get up in the morning and give God thanks and thank you for every single thing other than your bank account and the material possessions in your life, and for all the blessings. Because if you really sit down and think about it, you will find blessing after blessing after blessing. Well, what do you think about all this?
Well, my brain's a bit of a fog, and allergies got me thinking sideways. But no, that's the sad thing about the culture we live in is this idea of blessed, and it kind of like the word love has been perverted, right? I love this, I love that, love, 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 love. We don't know what true love is. True love comes from God, agape, right? And then it comes down from there. Um, I, I was doing some research, so I got one of my big study Bibles here, and then some other commentaries and stuff I was looking up, and the poor in spirit is an interesting one because we go right to poor as in financially poor, but a lot of what I find is that they're saying that it's poor in spirit, as in like um, you lack the spirit of God, that you are. One of the terms that I've said on the podcast a ton is that sometimes you have to go through tragedy to see God's majesty, right? That idea of sometimes you have to empty yourself completely. Sometimes you have to be at a place of despair so deep that the only way you can look is up. And in the poor in spirit, while we read that, we think, wow, the poor people. I really think poor in spirit is more of a spiritual poor. I think it leads to the idea of um, the lacking of the discernment of God's spirit, and not having that. And the reality is that what we see throughout Scripture, right, to counter that too, is it's the lowly, it's the poor, it's the outcasts, the ones that society rejects, is who God uses, and it's who He raises up. Right? There's no like perfect, whatever people you read in the Bible that God's using. None of them. And them homeboys are all jacked up. Man, you read the backstory. I'm in the Old Testament, and so I got through First and Second Samuel, and now I'm in Kings. And look, David was jacked up, man. Yeah, he's a man after God's own heart, but homeboy had some problems, and he had this power struggle, and he had this, and you read, uh, you get into Second Samuel, and he goes in and just destroys people, and there's battles and taking out everybody and all this stuff. And but then Bathsheba, right? He has his main man killed so that he could sleep with the guy's wife. And so
Actually,
I
he slept with her first.
well,
Then he
she
had
got
it killed so that
right.
way he could have her and cover up what he had already done.
Yeah, right, yeah, no, yeah. And so but you think about that, and you think about those who Jesus called as he's the fishermen, the people that you know you would see as kind of a low key, or maybe outcast, or a lot of those guys in that culture. uh, the ultimate goal is to become a rabbi, is to become, to work your way up in your faith. And if you're a fisherman, it means that you maybe didn't make the cut, right? Um, or you had to work the family business to make ends meet, and you had to help your family. And Jesus says, "Follow me, I'll make you fishers of men." And they dropped their nets and they followed him, right? A lot say, you read some that say, well, it's because the opportunity to follow a rabbi. Well, I believe it's Jesus, and the aura, and the draw that he had made anybody drop their net and come follow him. But there's so many, the Beatitudes are such it's kind of like the fruit of the Spirit, right? Um, Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Um, you don't pick and choose. It's every one of them, right? It's the fruit of the Spirit, not the fruits of the Spirit. It's the fruit of the Spirit. Um, I think the same could be said with the Beatitudes. Like, yeah, we're all going to mourn at some point. We're all going to be poor in spirit. We're all going to, have to be meek. I've been hungry before, right? Or hunger and thirst for righteousness, the merciful, the pure in heart. I mean, it's all these things that we need to strive to be, to try and um, grow closer to God. And it's not about work salvation. It's just the reality of what the Spirit's going to do within us as we grow closer and closer to God. And yeah, to your point, the pure in heart, for they shall see God. It's like, wow, I want to see God. Like, man, am I pure in heart? And I know I'm not. I'm wretched, man. I got some thoughts, you know. Um, but yeah, man, it's good stuff. I really appreciate going through this and just thinking about it, and and we're all in different seasons of life, and sometimes we just need to hear it. Um, Now, what translation were you reading from when you were reading?
The NLT.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yep.
I have this one that's a more of a formal, and it's what I'm used to growing up is blessed are, right?
Yeah.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth and that. But I'm actually, my daily reading, not to go off on a tangent, has been the NLT the last few weeks. I'll do that. I'll jump translations, and when I start a new book, in my reading, I might jump a new translation. But dude, I have been loving the NLT. I mean, I just can't get enough of it. It's the strangest thing. I'm not really. I mean, it's the Word of God, but like most of the time, I'm reading MEV or NET. They're more kind of formal translations, but I can't get enough of the NLT. It's been my go-to, and I feel like it's interesting too. I'm gonna go on a little tangent. Just talking about translation, because as I was listening to you read through these, I knew I haven't read through Matthew. Well, I have read through Matthew in the NLT, but not recently. But I knew that was NLT, and I was like, oh man, it makes so much sense. Um, NLT gets a lot of hate because some people say it's pushing a paraphrase. It's close to that, thought for thought. It's really, I would argue that the original New Testament was written in Koine Greek. Koine Greek was the common people's Greek, and actually, Koine Greek is very specific to that time frame. It's very people oriented, like for the common folk, and so the NLT, the purpose behind it was to be the common language Bible, that when you read it, it is reading how you speak and how we talk and how we write. And I appreciate it so much, because people argue, that's not what it says. Well, to actually translate and go from common language to common language, I think the NLT in a lot of places does a better job than like the ESVs and stuff, if I'm honest. But I won't go too deep into that. If you want to argue me, you can email me and we can have a phone call. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm reading the CSB this year in my
yeah,
daily reading
that's one of my
time,
favorites too.
and I like it. But the NLT has become my favorite version because it's like you just said, it's more close to how we talk and have a conversation now in the English language. And so that's why I think I enjoy it the most. It just feels very natural to read. And
Right.
my favorite version is probably the ESV. I really like it, but while it's over, closer, you say the NLT is closer to a paraphrase, the ESV is closer
The word
to
for
a
word.
word for word. But sometimes the way it's worded, like I'll pull the two out and have them side by side to help me kind of grasp it and feel what I'm reading. But yeah, I still say this: the one that you'll read is the best version.
Word.
Word. Period. I don't care which one.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. And well, what's the Bible say? How are people going to know about God? Through hearing, right? And so when you preach out of a Bible, or when you're reading out of a Bible, um, like the one I have is more formal. We don't talk like this. Blessed are those who are meek; they shall inherit. Like, we don't talk like that. And the NLT is gonna translate that, and when you speak it, it's speaking the word of God in a way that's intelligible for all people. And so, again, I've got a NASB 77 that's about as wooden as my dresser, um, and that's a great Bible. I love it. Um, but I've also got the NLT, and so yeah. Again, I'm a huge translation nerd and stuff, so we could go down that path forever. But yeah, man, good stuff. It's fun talking about the Bible and His Word, and digging into the Beatitudes. And honestly, we could do a whole series just going through the Sermon on the Mount.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the next section right after 12 is one of my favorite sections
Yeah.
in the Sermon on the Mount. You know, you're the salt of the earth. You know, you are the light,
Yep.
light of the world. I love what that is encompassing, um, and what that means for us. So,
Oh yeah. 517
but
is one of my favorite. Is it 517? Hold
do you
on.
think I've come to abolish the law and the
No,
prophets?
no. Let's see
Oh, okay.
here. I know
15.
it's a five. Um,
Yeah, mine's probably in that one 14. You're the light of the world. It is
oh yeah. No,
impossible for a
I
city to
said
be
17,
situated.
16. In the same way, let your good deeds
L-
shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. And this one says, in the same way, let your light shine before men,
Yeah.
so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven.
Yeah, and
Um,
the ESV is closer to that. It says,
right.
let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and glorify your God, Father in heaven."
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. We could do 1 week, you know, just continue on through, but, good stuff, man. I'll be honest with you. In the last week, I hadn't done much of anything, as far as shop is concerned. It's just been so busy. I did. I think I texted you. Um, I did change the oil in the car, for what that's worth. I'm a guy who works behind a desk every day. Yes, I'm a woodworker. I love. I've always been mechanical, and so one of my favorite things is when I'm changing the oil. Is he'll be 5 this month. 5-year-old wants to come out and he gets under the car with me, and he wants to see what I'm doing. And you know, last time I did it, he said, "Daddy, why is the car peeing?" You know, when I'm draining the oil out. But I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. It was funny. So we've had rain here like nonstop for the last week and a half. Well, we're going on a trip down to DC, which is about 5 hours away from us this weekend. And the oil needed to change in the car. I want to do that before the trip, get that done. And there's some of the little things on the car that I want to get done. And so after church Sunday, we had an hour window of no rain. And so I got the ramps out, got the car up on the ramps, and change oil. Well, I've got one of the, oil drain things that you drain your oil into, like the black, whatever. And I'm draining the oil out, and I forget to open there's like a take off the cap for the thing I'm draining it into, and it just starts overflowing over the sides of the thing, going all over the driveway. And Eli's like, "Daddy, you're making a mess." Like, I know I'm making a mess. I have my hand down in the oil trying to open this thing up so that it, drains into the. It was a mess. I had to get the cat litter out and do the thing, but yeah, man, I haven't done anything woodworking wise. I did get so this is kind of funny. I I don't know who gave it to me. I think my father-in-law, or it might have been a friend from Tennessee, gave me a long time ago a Dremel. But I never looked at it. I never needed it for anything. And it was in a plastic hard case, and it was a Dremel, whatever, Dremel brand. And so as I did a Bible rebind of my little NLT. That's my little compact that I'll take with me everywhere now. And I wanted to try burnishing the edges. And I bought this Dremel tool. It's ebony wood that has the indents in it for burnishing. And what you do is you put wax or something on the edge and then you run it through. And so I open up this thing, this Dremel case. I didn't realize that thing has all kinds of accessories and attachments. It's got like a right angle thing. It's got a remote thing that has like you hook it onto the Dremel, and then it's got like a hand thing that you can do fine work with. It's got um, a circle cutting marking thing. It's got all this. I have no idea. I've had this thing for probably 5+ years, and I've never opened it. And so I took the Dremel and I clamped it into my my hand working woodworking bench, and then I turned it on and I used that and burnished the edges of the Bible, which I think is going to be a new thing I'm going to do on all my Bibles. I really really like how that makes it feel and look and stuff. But yeah, man, haven't done anything but that out in the shop. Wait, we're going out of town this weekend, and then next week I've got auditors in all week, so that'll be fun. And then the week after that, I'm in at Disney for a work conference for the whole week, and so that I don't have any time. I just busy, 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 go, 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 and so it's kind of a shame. And I heard Matt Chandler's sermon from this week. I listened to it on my way home today, and he talked about he's going on this 3-week series about biblical masculinity, about what it means to be a man. And last week's was, man, it hit hard, and this week's just the same. I mean, he's one of the, I consider one of the best preachers of this time.
Yeah,
and he talked about it's with family. There's a difference between proximity and presence.
Yes.
And it just kind of spoke to me. And that it's one of the things come home and the phone goes on the counter and I, playing with the kids and whatever and trying to do that. And so I just, my focus and priority has been that, not as much doing anything, shop or anything. And the nice thing about the Bible rebinding thing is that I can do it, or we have open concept, and so I can do it on the dining room table while my wife is, in the living room. She'll be wrapping glass or whatever, and so we can still be in, maybe have a show on, and it's not loud, and I can do that in there. And so it's right. This season right now, it just hasn't been a woodworking shop season. I just haven't been out there, man. It's been just a change.
Nothing wrong with that, but that what you just said, proximity and presence, two different things. And so often, and I still remember one event, actually twice with my daughter in soccer. One time we went to a soccer tournament. She played travel soccer, and we'd go to these tournaments, and they had a game in the morning, and then we all went, ate lunch at Subway, and then they had another game in the afternoon. While we were at Subway, my daughter, I did not let her have a cell phone until she could drive. So she was 15 and a half years old when she could drive on her own, and that's when she got a cell phone. And so I told her it would be 16, but once she could drive without me, I didn't. I got the cell phone for me because I wanted the peace of mind of, But there was one other family that had the same philosophy we did, and all the rest of the girls on the team had cell phones, and we're all sitting at table. My daughter and Rachel are sitting there talking face to face. All the other girls looking down at their phones. And so you can be in the same proximity, sitting right beside somebody, but not be present with them. And as a man, and Matt Chandler talks about this, like I could be in the room with my wife and not be present with her. And my brother-in-law, he has this saying, be present where you're at. And meaning, like, if you're going to be here, be here. And so we're going to be here in the room. Everybody put their digital devices down and let's play a game together, have a conversation together. And it is a skill that is diminishing in our society. It really is. So, yeah, I strongly encourage you when you get home, do just what you're saying. Go put the cell phone where you can't hear it. Go play with your kids if they're still at that age. Go talk with your wife, because I'm telling you, man, the time flies. Like the other day, I got to actually ride in the car with my daughter to church. And a lot of times we don't even do that because one weekend I serve, the next weekend I don't. So on the off weeks we ride together. On the other weeks, I go in much earlier so I can serve all the services. And man, I tell you, those moments are just, you treasure them when you don't have them anymore. And I think it's very easy to take it for granted when you're younger because you think, oh man, my kid's 4. I just need a break. I've been at work all day. But you don't realize, man, you blink twice, then they're 7, then they're 10, then they're 15 and 20. And you're like, man, I wish they could be 4 again and I could go out in the yard and kick a soccer ball with them again, But yeah, but I actually got some shop time this week. I probably actually have more time in my shop this week than I've had in the last year combined.
Yeah, I saw that scroll saw sign you sent me a picture of, man. Ooh.
It came out so nice, man. It really intricate design and multiple hours of scrolling on the saw and then lots of sanding. And it was just really, and I tell you what, this particular one, when you're doing something flat, like a tabletop or whatever, cutting board, you don't really get to see the benefits of like my Surf Prep 3x4. But on a project like this where it had all the intricate curves, man, I tell you what, it's such a blessing to have that ProFoam pad. They make the 1/2 inch with that because I had sanded for hours on all the little parts and stuff, and then also being able to get around all the curves. But yeah, man, it came out really nice. Going to ship that one out tomorrow. But yeah, and then got some other stuff done in the shop that was nice. My shop is looking so organized. It's crazy. Like, it's the cleanest it's been. I've gotten some more tools up on the wall because, like, dude, I hung the French cleat up on the wall a year ago, but hadn't had time to make holders, and so I've just been doing that too. And I was only able to do it because we had a few days with rain, a few days with crazy wind, and I was like, well, can't go outside and do the farm work I need to do, so I'm going to get in here. And it was just nice. There, ironically, one of the people I follow on Instagram, a scroll saw artist, has a saying on the wall of her shop that says, "Busy hands, calm mind." And that's exactly how I feel when I'm sitting at the scroll saw or working on a project. Like, you're only thinking about the thing you're making, and it's just, everything else goes away. It's just so nice. But yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about mowing. I don't know why. Like,
Yeah.
I'm on a mower. I can't now. I've got the work tunes, but they're intentionally, they don't have the volume. I can't listen to a podcast on the mower. It's just not loud enough for me. But I do listen to music. I listen to worship music, and yeah, I just mindless, man, just on the mower.
Yeah.
Just going back and forth, which I haven't been able to do. And my house looks like a homeless person's house or like an abandoned house. So, not fun.
Oh, wow.
So awesome, man. Well, appreciate the time as always. And like we said at the beginning of the podcast, you want to hang out with us, faithtalkswood.com/retreat. You'll fill it out end of May. That's getting shut down, and we're going from there. So hope everybody's doing well. Until next week, I'm Will from Flat Woodworks.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.